Jiho Kim straightened his simple blue uniform as he walked through the massive corridors of Council Station. The space station was huge, bigger than most cities back on Earth. It floated in space near Nexus Prime, where hundreds of alien species came to talk about galactic politics and trade deals. Jiho had been Earth's ambassador here for 3 years now, and he still felt small when he saw all the different creatures that lived among the stars. The humans were still new here. Only 50 years ago, Earth had joined the Galactic Council. Most alien species had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. To them, humans were like children who had just learned to walk. They were polite to Jiho, but he could see it in their eyes. They thought humans were weak and simple. Maybe that was true. Earth's main exports were food crops that grew well on different planets. Human ships carried grain, fruits, and vegetables to alien worlds. Human colonies were mostly farms. When other species had disputes, they sometimes asked humans to help solve problems because humans were seen as neutral and harmless. Jiho entered the main council chamber where today's meeting was about to start. The room was enormous, with seats for over 300 different species. Some aliens were tall and thin like walking trees. Others were short and round with too many arms. A few looked almost human except for strange colors or extra eyes. Jiho took his seat in the section marked for newer members. "The council recognizes Ambassador Vextar of the Hegemony," announced the speaker, an ancient reptile-like creature whose scales had turned silver with age. Vextar stood up. He was from a species called the Krillians, who controlled 47 star systems. His skin was blue-green, and his eyes were yellow. "Honored Council, we must discuss the growing threat of the Vorthak Empire. They have demanded tribute from 12 independent worlds this month alone." Murmurs filled the chamber. The Vorthaks were well known throughout the galaxy. They were a warrior race that had conquered 17 star systems in the past century. Their ships were black and covered in spikes. Their soldiers wore heavy armor and carried weapons that could cut through most metals. "What does the Vorthak representative say to these charges?" asked the speaker. A massive creature stood up from the far side of the chamber. Gorthak the Merciless was 8 feet tall, with gray skin like stone. His face had no nose, just slits for breathing. His mouth was full of sharp teeth. Scars covered his arms and chest, showing battles he had won. "The Vorthak Empire takes only what is owed," Gorthak said in a voice like grinding rocks. "Weak species must pay for protection. The galaxy is dangerous. We keep order." "By threatening to destroy entire planets?" Vextar shot back. Gorthak laughed, a sound that made several smaller aliens move away from him. "If they pay, no one gets hurt. If they refuse..." He shrugged his massive shoulders. "That is their choice." Jiho had been listening to this same argument for weeks. The Vorthaks would find a peaceful world, land their ships, and demand payment. If the planet refused, the Vorthaks would attack. They had destroyed 3 cities already this year. Council always talked about it, but no one wanted to fight the Vorthak Empire directly. After the meeting, Jiho walked to the human section of the station. It was small compared to other areas, with only a few offices and living quarters. He found Captain Mina Park waiting in his office. She commanded one of Earth's merchant ships and often brought reports from human colonies. Mina was a small woman with short black hair and quick eyes. She wore the standard brown uniform of the human merchant fleet. Her ship, the Soul's Pride, was docked at the station to deliver food supplies to the alien quarters. "Ambassador," Mina said, standing up as he entered. "We need to talk about the Vorthaks." Jiho sat down behind his desk. "They made more demands?" 3 human colonies got visits this week," Mina said, pulling out a datapad. "New Busan, Terra Verde, and Hope Station. The Vorthaks want each colony to pay 1 million. Credits every month, plus food shipments." "That's impossible," Jiho said. "Our colonies are farming communities. They don't have that kind of money." "The Vorthaks don't care," Mina replied. "They gave each colony 2 weeks to decide. Pay up or face attack." Jiho rubbed his forehead. This was exactly what he had feared would happen. Humans were seen as easy targets because their colonies were peaceful and their ships were not heavily armed. At least, that's what everyone thought. "What did the colony leaders say?" he asked. "They want to refuse, of course," Mina said. "But they're scared. They've seen what happened to other worlds that said no to the Vorthaks." Jiho had seen those reports too. The Vorthax didn't just attack military targets. They bombed cities, farms, schools. They wanted other species to be afraid of them. "I'll bring this to the council," Jiho said. "Maybe we can get help from other species." Mina looked doubtful. "The Krillians are too busy protecting their own worlds. The Zephyrians don't want to get involved. Who else is going to stand up to the Vorthax?" That was the problem. The Vorthak Empire was one of the strongest military forces in the galaxy. Their ships were fast and well-armed. Their soldiers were trained from birth to fight. Most species found it easier to pay tribute than to fight back. Later that day, Jiho met with other ambassadors in the station's central dining area. The room was filled with the sounds of dozens of different languages and the smells of foods from across the galaxy. He sat with Ambassador Theros, the ancient reptilian who had been at the council longer than anyone else. "The Vorthak problem grows worse," Theros said, his voice soft and wise. "They become bolder each month." "My people won't pay tribute," Jiho said firmly. "Humans don't respond well to threats." Theros looked at him with old, knowing eyes. "Your species is brave, young ambassador, but bravery without strength leads only to death. The Vorthax have crushed many brave species." "We'll find a way," Jiho said. "Perhaps," Theros replied. "But the galaxy has learned that sometimes survival requires compromise. Your people are new to the stars. You will learn this too." After dinner, Jiho returned to his quarters and sent a coded message to Earth. He reported the Vorthak demands and asked for instructions. The response came back within hours from Director Soman Yu of the Human Colonial Administration. "Refuse all demands. Protect our people. Full authority granted." The message was short, but Jiho felt better after reading it. At least Earth was standing behind the colonies. He just hoped they had a plan, because war with the Vorthax would be devastating for humanity. 3 days later, Captain Mina Park prepared to leave Council Station. Her ship was loaded with supplies for the human colonies, including medical, equipment, and communication devices. As she ran final checks on her cargo, she couldn't help but smile. The aliens who worked at the loading docks were always friendly to human crews. They saw the Soul's Pride as just another merchant ship carrying food and basic supplies. The ship looked peaceful, with smooth white hull and Earth's blue and green flag painted on the side. Her crew was small. Taiyang Li handled engineering and made sure the ship ran smoothly. Hana Choi worked communications and navigation. Both were young and seemed to enjoy traveling between the stars, trading with aliens and seeing new worlds. "All cargo secured, Captain," Taiyang reported. He was a tall, thin man who always had grease on his hands from working with machinery. "Communication array ready for departure," added Hana. She was smaller than Taiyang, with bright eyes that missed nothing. "Good," Mina said. "Let's head home. Our colonies need these supplies." As the Soul's Pride left Council Station, none of the alien observers paid much attention. It was just another human merchant ship going about its peaceful business. They had no idea that they were watching one of the most dangerous vessels in the galaxy prepare for war. The peaceful farmers of humanity were about to show the galaxy what they were really capable of, and the Vorthak Empire was about to learn why you should never threaten humans. But that lesson would have to wait. For now, the galaxy still thought humans were harmless. That misconception would not last much longer. The alarm bells on New Busan Colony rang across the farming valleys at dawn. Admiral Young Sunam stood in the underground command center, watching the screens that showed 37 Vorthak warships dropping out of hyperspace. The ships were massive and black, shaped like arrows with spikes along their hulls. Each one carried enough firepower to level a city. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Vorthak fleet," reported Communications Officer Daeho Wu. "Put it through," Admiral Nam replied calmly. The main screen showed Gorthak the Merciless standing on his command bridge. Behind him, Vorthak warriors in black armor worked at weapon controls. The alien warlord's scarred face showed cruel satisfaction. "Humans of New Busan," Gorthak growled. "You have refused to pay tribute to the Vorthak Empire. This was a mistake. We will now demonstrate what happens to species that defy us. Prepare to die." The transmission cut off. Around the command center, human officers worked quietly at their stations. No one seemed worried, even though they were facing the most feared military force in the galaxy. "Estimated time until they reach attack range?" Admiral Nam asked. 14 minutes, sir, replied Tactical Officer Boram Shin. Very well. Activate Defense Protocol 7. Above ground, the peaceful farming colony looked helpless. 2 million. Humans lived in small towns scattered across the green valleys. Wheat fields stretched to the horizon. Corn grew in perfect rows under the alien sun. Anyone looking down from space would see only farmland and small settlements. They would be wrong. Captain. Mina Park was 3 light years away when she received the emergency signal. The Soul's Pride was traveling through normal space, carrying supplies to another human colony. The message was short and coded. New Busan under attack. Protocol 7 active. All ships respond. Mina smiled grimly and turned to her crew. Taiyang, prepare for combat configuration. Hana, send the response code to all human vessels in this sector. Yes, Captain. Both officers replied. The Soul's Pride began to change. The outer hull panels slid apart, revealing weapon ports that had been hidden underneath. The peaceful merchant ship's true nature started to show. Gun turrets emerged from concealed bays. Missile launchers extended from what had looked like cargo holds. In space around New Busan, the Vorthak fleet moved into attack formation. War Chief. Gorthak stood on his bridge, pleased with how easy this would be. Intelligence reports said the humans had no military ships in this system. Just farmers and their families, waiting to be taught a lesson. Begin bombardment of the largest city, Gorthak ordered. Make sure the galaxy sees what happens to those who refuse us. The Vorthak ships powered up their main guns. Energy weapons that could crack mountains began to charge. This would be over quickly. Then something impossible happened. The space around New Busan exploded with hidden defenses. What had looked like empty space suddenly filled with weapons platforms. Asteroids split open to reveal massive gun batteries. Orbital stations that had been invisible to sensors powered up and began targeting the Vorthak fleet. "Sir!" shouted a Vorthak sensor officer. "Multiple contacts! Where did they come from?" Gorthak stared at his screens in shock. Dozens of weapon platforms surrounded his fleet. How had his sensors missed them? How had intelligence failed so completely? All. "Ships, evasive action!" he commanded. "Return fire!" But it was too late. The human defense network opened fire all at once. Energy beams that burned brighter than stars lanced through space. Missiles that moved faster than anything the Vorthaks had ever seen streaked toward their ships. The weapons were more advanced than anything in the galactic databases. The first Vorthak ship exploded in a ball of fire. Then the second. Then 5 more. On New Busan's surface, Admiral Nam watched the battle from his command bunker. The bunker was built into a mountain and could survive a direct hit from a planet-killer weapon. Around him, his officers coordinated. The defense with calm efficiency. "Enemy flagship is trying to retreat," reported Tactical Officer Shin. "Don't let it escape," Admiral Nam said. "I want Gorthak's ship disabled and captured. The galaxy needs to see what happens when you threaten human civilians." In space, the Soul's Pride dropped out of hyperspace right behind the Vorthak rear guard. The ship no longer looked like a peaceful merchant vessel. Its hull bristled with weapons. Its engines glowed with power that no trading ship should possess. "Target the command ship," Captain Mina ordered. "Taiyang, give me full power to the main guns." "Full power ready, Captain," Taiyang replied from his engineering station. His console now showed weapon systems that were supposed to be impossible for a ship this size. "Hana, send a message to the Vorthak flagship," Mina said. "Channel open, Captain." Mina's voice went out on all frequencies. "Vorthak, this is Captain Park of the Human Defense Force. You came here to attack farmers. You made a mistake. The Soul's Pride fired its main weapons. The beam struck Gorthak's flagship and overloaded its shields instantly. More human ships appeared around the battlefield. Each one had been disguised as a merchant vessel or transport. Now they showed their true purpose. Gorthak's ship was dead in space, its engines destroyed and weapons offline. Around him, the rest of his fleet was being systematically annihilated by weapons that shouldn't exist. In 6 minutes, 37 of the galaxy's most feared warships had been reduced to scrap metal. Only Gorthak's command ship remained, disabled but intact. "This is impossible," Gorthak whispered, staring at the wreckage of his fleet. "Humans are farmers, merchants. They have no military." His communication officer was trembling. "Sir, Incoming transmission from the planet. Admiral Nam's face appeared on Gorthak's screen. The human looked completely calm, as if destroying an entire Vorthak fleet was something that happened every day. War Chief Gorthak, Admiral Nam said politely. Welcome to New Busan. I'm afraid your ships won't be leaving, but we'd be happy to discuss surrender terms. You were supposed to be defenseless, Gorthak stammered. We are defenseless, Admiral Nam replied with a slight smile. We're just farmers, after all. We grow crops, raise families, and live peaceful lives. We also happen to be very good at protecting those peaceful lives from anyone who threatens them. The communication ended. Gorthak slumped in his command chair, trying to understand what had happened. His intelligence files said humans were weak. Their colonies were undefended. Their ships were civilian transports. Everything had been a lie. On New Busan, life continued as normal. Children went to school, farmers tended their crops, the local market sold fresh vegetables and homemade bread. The only sign that anything had happened was the debris field in orbit and the disabled Vorthak ship being towed to a human facility. News of the battle spread across the galaxy within hours. The reports seemed impossible. A human farming colony had destroyed an entire Vorthak fleet without taking any casualties. The peaceful merchants had revealed themselves to be warriors with technology that amazed even advanced species. At Council Station, Ambassador Jiho received congratulations from species that had ignored humanity for decades. They all wanted to know the same thing. How had humans hidden such military power? Jiho just smiled and gave the same answer to everyone. We never said we couldn't defend ourselves. We just preferred not to. But inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had seen a glimpse of humanity's true capabilities, and that would change everything. Some species would want to be friends with this newly revealed power. Others would see humans as a threat that needed to be eliminated. The quiet time was over. Humanity had shown its strength, and now they would have to deal with the consequences. In the ruins of Gorthak's fleet, the surviving Vorthak warriors sent desperate messages to their empire. They tried to explain what they had seen, but their commanders didn't believe them. How could farmers destroy the galaxy's most feared fleet? Soon, the entire galaxy would understand. The humans weren't just farmers and merchants. They were something much more dangerous, a species that could appear peaceful while hiding the power to destroy entire civilizations, and they had just announced their presence to the universe. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began 12 hours after news of the Vorthak fleet's destruction reached Nexus Prime. Representatives from 300 species filled the Great Chamber, all talking at once in dozens of different languages. The usual order and dignity of council meetings had vanished, replaced by fear and confusion. Council Speaker Thyros struck his ceremonial gong 3 times, calling for silence. The ancient reptilian's silver scales seemed to glow under the chamber's lights as he addressed the assembly. We are here to discuss the events at New Busan Colony, Thyros announced. The Vorthak Empire has suffered a complete defeat at the hands of the human species. We must understand what this means for galactic security. Ambassador Jiho Kim sat in the human section, watching as alien representatives whispered among themselves. He could see the fear in their eyes. For 50 years, they had seen humans as weak farmers and peaceful traders. Now they were learning how wrong they had been. "This is impossible!" shouted Ambassador Klex of the Zephyrian Collective. The blue-skinned alien's 4 arms waved frantically as he spoke. "Our intelligence reports show humans have no military fleet. Their colonies have no defenses." "Your intelligence was wrong," said a calm voice from the chamber's entrance. Everyone turned to see Director Somin Yu walking into the council chamber. She was a middle-aged woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Her simple black uniform bore no rank insignia, but something about her presence made the entire chamber fall silent. "Director Yu," Thyros said formally, "we were not expecting you." "I thought it was time to clear up some misunderstandings," Somin replied as she took a seat next to Ambassador Jiho. "The council seems confused about recent events." Ambassador Vextar of the Krillian hegemony stood up. His blue-green skin had turned pale with worry. "Director, we need answers. How did your people destroy an entire Vorthak fleet? Where did those weapons come from?" Soman smiled politely. The weapons came from human factories. The defenses were built by human engineers. The ships were crewed by humans. I'm not sure what's confusing about that. But you're farmers, protested Ambassador Klex. Merchants, your people are peaceful. We are farmers and merchants, Soman agreed. We're also many other things. Humans have always been good at having multiple skills. She stood up and activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. The image showed a peaceful human colony with green fields and small towns. Then the image changed, showing the same colony's hidden defenses and underground facilities. This is Terra Verde, one of our agricultural worlds, Soman explained. Population, 3 million. Main exports, wheat, corn, and exotic fruits. Also home to the 15th Human Defense Battalion and a planetary shield generator that can stop asteroid impacts. The display changed again, showing a human merchant ship. It looked exactly like hundreds of similar vessels that traded throughout the galaxy. Then the image shifted to show the same ship with its hidden weapon systems revealed. The trading. Vessel Golden Harvest, Soman continued. Captain Seojin Kang commands this ship. He's delivered food supplies to 47 different worlds. He's also a decorated combat veteran who could single-handedly destroy most planetary defense fleets. Murmurs of shock filled the chamber. Ambassador Thyros leaned forward in his ancient chair. You're saying every human colony is actually a military base. Every merchant ship is a warship? Not every one, Soman said. Some are research stations. Some are manufacturing centers. Some are communication hubs. But yes, all of our colonies can defend themselves and all of our ships can fight if necessary. This is a violation of galactic law, shouted Ambassador Zixthara of the Asteroid Mining Consortium. The insect-like alien's compound eyes glittered with anger. Species must declare their military capabilities to the Council. We did, Jiho said, speaking for the first time since the meeting began. He pulled out a datapad and read from it. Earth declares that all human colonies and vessels are equipped for self-defense and protection of civilian populations. Filed with the Council 50 years ago when we joined. Self-defense doesn't mean planet-killing weapons, Zixthara protested. Doesn't it? Soman asked innocently. The Vorthax came to kill our civilians. We defended them. That's what self-defense means. The chamber erupted in arguments as different species tried to process this information. The humans had been hiding in plain sight for 50 years, disguising military might as peaceful farming and trading. Ambassador Krell of the Harmony Federation, a species known for their diplomatic skills, raised his tentacled hand for attention. Director Yu, we must ask, what are humanity's true military capabilities? Soman thought for a moment before answering. We have 347 colonies. Each one can defend itself against fleets like the one that attacked New Busan. We have over 2,000 ships that look like merchants but fight like battleships. Our home system has defenses that make New Busan look like a child's toy. The silence that followed was complete. Even the translation devices seemed to stop working as alien minds struggled to understand the implications. You're saying, Thyros said slowly, that humanity is the most powerful military force in the galaxy. We're saying we can protect ourselves and our friends, Soman replied. Whether that makes us the most powerful depends on how you define power. Ambassador Vextar stood up again, his yellow eyes wide with realization. The Krillian hegemony has been studying human colonies for months, planning defensive strategies against Vorthak expansion. Our spies reported no military installations, no weapons, no threats. Your spies are very good, Soman admitted. They saw exactly what we wanted them to see. Farms, markets, schools, hospitals. All real, all functioning normally. They just didn't look deep enough. How deep? Vextar asked. Our farming equipment can be converted to manufacturing weapons in 3 hours, Soman said. Our tractors are built on tank chassis. Our grain silos can launch defensive missiles. Our school teachers are trained soldiers. Our doctors know how to treat battle wounds. Every human civilian is also a potential warrior. The revelation hit the chamber like a shockwave. These peaceful farmers weren't just hiding weapons, they had built their entire civilization as a hidden military force. Why? Asked Ambassador Thyros. Why hide your strength? Most species display their power to gain respect and deter attacks. Soman's expression became serious. Because we learned something important from our history, Speaker Thyros. The species that show their strength become targets. Everyone wants to test themselves against the strongest fighter. But the species that appear weak, nobody bothers them. They're left alone to grow and build and prepare. Prepare for what? Klex demanded. For the day someone threatens innocent people, Soman said simply, like the Vorthax did yesterday. She activated another holographic display, this one showing Earth's solar system. What looked like a normal star system with planets and asteroid belts was revealed to be something else entirely. This is our home system, Soman explained. Sol has 9 planets, thousands of asteroids, and millions of peaceful human citizens. It also has the most advanced defensive network ever constructed. Every piece of space debris is a sensor. Every satellite is a weapon. Every planet is a fortress. The image zoomed in on Earth's moon. Luna is our oldest colony. It's also a weapon platform that could crack planets if necessary. Mars looks like a terraforming project, but it's actually our main military production center. The asteroid belt isn't just mining operations. It's 10,000 hidden missile launchers. Ambassador Zixathara was shaking with rage. You've been preparing for war against the entire galaxy. We've been preparing to defend ourselves against anyone who might threaten us, Somin corrected. There's a difference. We don't want to conquer anyone. We just want to be left alone to live our lives in peace. And if someone won't leave you alone? Thyros asked. Somin's smile was polite but cold. Then they learned what happened to the Vorthax. The meeting continued for 6 more hours, but the important information had already been shared. Humanity wasn't the weak, peaceful species everyone had believed them to be. They were a military superpower that had spent 50 years convincing the galaxy they were harmless farmers. As the session ended, representatives from dozens of species approached Ambassador Jiho with urgent requests for private meetings. Some wanted to discuss alliance treaties. Others wanted to assure him that their species had never considered threatening human colonies. Everyone wanted to be friends with the farmers who could destroy fleets. You realize, Thyros said to Jiho as they left the chamber together. This changes everything. The galaxy will never see humanity the same way again. Maybe that's for the best, Jiho replied. We're tired of pretending to be helpless, and maybe the galaxy needs to know that peaceful people can defend themselves when necessary. Some species will see this as a threat, the old reptilian warned. They will want to strike before humanity becomes even stronger. Jiho nodded. We know. We've been preparing for that possibility too. As news of the council session spread across the galaxy, one thing became clear. The age of thinking humans were weak and harmless was over. The farmers had shown their true strength, and the entire galaxy would have to learn to live with that new reality. 3 weeks after the revelation at the Galactic Council, emergency meetings were taking place across the galaxy. In the crystal cities of Zephyr Prime, the war chambers of the Krillian hegemony, and the industrial complexes of the asteroid mining consortium, the same conversations were happening. Humanity had become too dangerous to ignore. Admiral Zixthara of the Zephyrian Collective stood before the Combined Fleet Command, her 4 arms gesturing at the holographic display showing human colonies scattered across the galaxy. The insect-like aliens' compound eyes reflected the light from dozens of star systems marked in red. These farmers have made fools of us all, she declared to the assembled military leaders. For 50 years they have been building weapons while we believed they were growing crops. Now they have revealed themselves as the greatest threat the galaxy has ever known. Fleet Commander Corinth of the Krillian hegemony nodded his agreement. The blue-skinned warrior bore scars from a dozen campaigns against hostile species. My intelligence networks have been studying human activities since the New Busan incident. Every report confirms their director's claims. Their entire civilization is a military disguise. Then we must act before they grow stronger, said Mining Director Vortex of the Asteroid Consortium. His metal body gleamed under the meeting room's lights. If we wait, they will become impossible to defeat. The 3 species had never worked together before. The Zephyrians were explorers and scientists who had built the galaxy's most advanced ships. The Krillians were warriors who controlled the largest military fleet. The Asteroid Consortium commanded vast industrial resources and automated armies. Together, They represented the most powerful alliance in galactic history. "What are we proposing?" asked Admiral Zixathera. "Complete elimination of the human threat," Fleet Commander Corinth replied coldly. "We strike their home system before they can prepare their defenses. Earth must be destroyed, and all human colonies neutralized." "That's genocide," whispered Science Director Kethvar, a peaceful Zephyrian who had opposed the meeting from the beginning. "That's survival," Corinth shot back. "The humans have been preparing for war against the entire galaxy. They've built weapons that can destroy our fleets. They've hidden their true nature for 50 years. Can we trust a species capable of such deception?" The debate continued for hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Fear had overcome reason. The three powers agreed to combine their fleets and strike at humanity's heart before the farmers could reveal any more surprises. 800 ships gathered at the edge of human space. Zephyrian science vessels equipped with cutting-edge weapons. Krillian battleships that had conquered dozens of worlds. Automated warships from the asteroid. Consortium, controlled by advanced computer minds. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Admiral Zixathara commanded the fleet from her flagship, the Stellar Dawn. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly, preparing for the battle that would determine the galaxy's future. "All ships report ready for hyperspace jump," announced Navigation Officer Plexton. "Begin the attack," Admiral Zixathara ordered. "Target, Earth! No survivors!" The massive fleet jumped into hyperspace, heading for humanity's home system. They expected to find a few orbital defenses and maybe some hidden weapons like the ones at New Busan. They were confident that 800 ships could overwhelm anything the humans had prepared. They were about to discover how wrong they could be. On Earth, General Dongyun Bai stood in the Seoul Defense Command Center, built deep beneath the mountains of what used to be called South Korea. The facility was larger than most cities, filled with computers that monitored every inch of human space. When the alien fleet entered hyperspace, Earth's sensors detected them immediately. "General, we have incoming hostile fleet," reported Colonel Isol Park. 800 ships mixed composition. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. "Finally, General," Bay said with grim satisfaction. "We've been waiting for this." He activated the Seoul Defense Network, the most advanced military system ever created. Every piece of space debris in the solar system was actually a sensor or weapon. Every asteroid had been hollowed out and filled with missile launchers. Every planet was a fortress world with enough firepower to destroy fleets. "Activate all defense stations," General Bay ordered. "Recall the first fleet from patrol. Prepare Neptune base for full deployment." Around the solar system, thousands of hidden installations came online. What had looked like empty space filled with weapons platforms. Mars revealed its true nature as a massive military production center. The asteroid belt transformed into the largest minefield in galactic history. Admiral Hiran's Song received the alert on her flagship at the edge of the system. The Incheon's Fury was one of 200 ships in the first human fleet, vessels that had been hidden in the outer system for decades. Unlike the disguised merchant ships, these were purpose-built warships designed for one thing: destroying enemy fleets. "All ships, prepare for battle," Admiral Song broadcast to her fleet. "Today we defend Earth and show the galaxy what happens when you threaten innocent people." The human warships began moving toward the inner system. Each ship was larger than anything the aliens had ever seen, armed with weapons that violated several galactic treaties on destructive capability. These weren't converted farming equipment or hidden merchant vessels. These were instruments of war built by a species that understood conflict better than any other. When the alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Earth, they expected to face orbital defenses and maybe a few patrol ships. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by the most sophisticated military network ever constructed. "By the Void," whispered Science Officer Tethmore aboard the Stellar Dawn. "There are weapons everywhere." Admiral Zixathara stared at her sensors, in disbelief. Every scan showed impossible readings. The entire solar system was armed. Earth's moon wasn't just a satellite, it was a weapons platform that registered energy levels off the scale. Mars wasn't a terraforming project, it was a fortress world. "How is this possible?" she demanded. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "incoming transmission from Earth." General Bay's face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, the command center buzzed with activity as human officers coordinated the defense of their home world. "Welcome to the Sol System," General Bay said politely. "I'm afraid you're not authorized to be here. Please leave immediately or face the consequences." "We came here to eliminate the human threat," Admiral Zix Thera declared. "Your species has been preparing for war against the galaxy. We cannot allow this to continue." "War against the galaxy?" General Bay looked genuinely confused. "We've never attacked anyone who didn't attack us first. We're defending our homes from invaders, like you." "You've been building weapons for 50 years, Corinth shouted from his own ship. "We've been building defenses for 50 years, General Bay corrected. "There's a difference. We knew that someday someone would try to destroy us simply because we existed. Today proves we were right." The communication ended. Admiral Zix Thera found herself commanding 800 ships against a solar system that had become a fortress. But she had come too far to retreat now. "All ships, begin the attack," she ordered. "Target Earth first, then move to the other planets." The alien fleet opened fire, launching thousands of missiles and energy beams at Earth's defenses. For a moment, space lit up with explosions as weapons designed to crack planets struck the human defensive network. Then the humans fired back. The Sol Defense Network unleashed firepower that made the New Busan battle look like a small skirmish. Energy beams that burned brighter than stars lanced out from hidden platforms. Missiles that moved faster than light streaked toward the alien ships. The asteroid belt revealed itself to be 10,000 launcher platforms, each one capable of destroying a battleship. Admiral Song's first fleet hit the alien rearguard like a hammer blow. The human warships were faster, better armed, and more advanced than anything the aliens had ever seen. Each ship could have fought the entire Vorthak. "Fleet alone and won! This is impossible!" Admiral Zix Thera screamed as her ships exploded around her. "No species could have built this!" But the humans had built it. They had spent 50 years preparing for this exact moment when the galaxy would try to destroy them for being too strong. They had learned from Earth's bloody history that the only way to ensure peace was to be too dangerous to attack. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, 800 alien ships had been reduced to scattered debris. Human casualties, 0 ships destroyed, minor damage to 3 vessels. In the aftermath, Admiral Song's flagship approached the disabled remnants of the alien fleet. Most ships had been completely destroyed, but a few command vessels had been specifically targeted to disable rather than kill. "This is Admiral Song of the Human Defense Force," she broadcast to the survivors. "Your fleets are destroyed. Your governments will receive the survivors and our terms for peace. Attack human civilians again, and next time we won't leave any witnesses." The message was recorded and broadcast across the galaxy. Within hours, every species knew what had happened. The 3 most powerful military forces in known space had combined their fleets and attacked humanity's home system. They had been completely, utterly defeated. Dr. Kyun. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened 48 hours after the destruction of the combined fleet. The Great Chamber was only half full, as many species were too afraid to leave their home systems. Those who did attend spoke, in whispers, casting nervous glances at the human delegation. Historical analyst Yunji Yang walked calmly to the center of the chamber. She was a small woman with silver hair and patient eyes, wearing the simple gray uniform of Earth's academic council. Behind her, a massive holographic display activated, showing images from human history. "Honored delegates," Yunji began, "you have asked why humanity possesses such military capabilities. The answer lies in our past, which we have never tried to hide." The display showed ancient battlefields from Earth's history, armies with bronze weapons clashing in clouds of dust, wooden ships firing cannons across ocean waters, soldiers in trenches facing poison gas and machine guns. "Humans have been at war for most of our recorded history," Yunji explained. "Not because we loved violence, but because conflict seemed to be our natural state. Tribe fought tribe, nation fought nation, continent fought continent. The images shifted to show more recent conflicts. Cities burning under aerial bombardment, tanks rolling across devastated landscapes, nuclear weapons turning entire regions into radioactive wastelands. "We nearly destroyed ourselves several times," Yunji continued. Our wars became more devastating. As our technology improved, we learned to split atoms and turn them into weapons. We built machines that could end all life on our planet. Ambassador Krell of the Harmony Federation raised a tentacled hand. If your species was so violent, how did you achieve space travel? Most warlike species destroy themselves before they reach the stars. Yunji smiled sadly. Because we finally understood what war really taught us. Every conflict, every battle, every defeat made us better at one thing: survival. We learned to build weapons. Yes, but more importantly, we learned to build defenses. We learned to prepare for threats that might never come. The display changed. Again, showing Earth's early space colonies. Simple stations and small settlements that looked innocent and peaceful. Then the image shifted to reveal their hidden defensive capabilities. When we reached the stars, we brought those lessons with us, Yunji said. We knew that space was dangerous. We knew that someday we might encounter species that wanted to harm us, so we prepared. You prepared for war against species you had never met, accused Ambassador Zixthera. The Zephyrian leader was one of the few survivors of the failed attack. On Earth, her pride broken but her anger still burning. We prepared for war against anyone who might threaten innocent people, Yunji corrected. The same way farmers prepare for drought by storing water or build storm shelters to protect against hurricanes. We hoped we would never need our preparations. But we made them anyway. Captain Mingyu O stepped forward from the human delegation. He was a young man who commanded the exploration vessel Bright Star, one of the ships that had helped evacuate survivors from the battle. His ship looked like a peaceful research vessel, but the galaxy now knew better. May I demonstrate something? Captain O asked. Council Speaker Thyros nodded nervously. After what had happened to the combined fleet, everyone was afraid of human demonstrations. Captain O activated a control device, and his ship's holographic image appeared above the chamber. It looked exactly like what it claimed to be, a scientific vessel designed for peaceful exploration. This is my ship as you see it, Captain O explained. Research laboratories, observation decks, comfortable quarters for scientists and diplomats. He pressed another control, and the ship's image transformed. Weapon ports opened along the hull. Sensor arrays revealed themselves to be targeting systems. The cargo bays showed rows of missiles designed to crack asteroids. This is my ship as it really is, Captain O said. Every system has a dual purpose. The geological scanners can map planetary defenses. The mineral extraction equipment can be converted to manufacturing weapons. The life support systems can keep a crew alive during combat for months. He looked around the chamber at the stunned alien faces. Every human ship is built this way. Every human colony works on the same principle. We are exactly what we appear, to be scientists, farmers, traders, teachers. We are also soldiers, engineers, strategists, and survivors. How is this possible? Whispered Ambassador Krell. How can one species be so many things? Yunji stepped forward again. Because we had to be. Earth's history taught us that survival requires adaptability. A farmer who cannot fight will lose his crops to raiders. A scientist who cannot defend his research will see it stolen or destroyed. A teacher who cannot protect her students will watch them die. The historical display showed images of human civilians throughout history. Farmers picking up weapons to defend their homes. Scientists developing new technologies during wartime. Teachers leading children to safety during air raids. We never separated civilian and military roles the way other species do, Yunji explained. Every human learns basic combat skills the same way we learn to read and write. Every human settlement has hidden defenses, the same way we have hospitals and schools. This is why your intelligence networks failed, added Defense Minister Naeon Lim, speaking for the first time during the session. She was a stern woman with sharp eyes and graying hair. You looked for military bases, weapon factories, training centers. You didn't find them because they don't exist as separate facilities. She gestured to the display, which now showed a typical human colony. Our military bases are farms that can quickly switch to manufacturing ammunition. Our weapon factories are schools that teach both mathematics and marksmanship. Our training centers are hospitals where doctors learn to treat both diseases and battle wounds. The implications hit the chamber like a physical blow. Humanity hadn't just hidden their military capabilities, they had woven them so completely into their civilian society that the two were inseparable. Every human is a potential soldier, Ambassador Thyros said slowly. Every human colony is a potential fortress. Every human ship is a potential warship, added Ambassador Krell. Now you begin to understand, Minister Lim said. We didn't deceive you about what we are. We are farmers and traders and scientists. We're also the most dangerous species in the galaxy, because we never forgot that peaceful people must be able to defend themselves. What do you want from us? Asked the representative of the Harmony Federation, a species known for their diplomatic approach to all problems. The same thing we've always wanted, Ambassador Jiho Kim said, standing up from his seat. To be left alone to live our lives in peace. To trade with friendly species and help settle disputes. To grow crops and raise families and explore the stars. And if we refuse, Zixthera demanded, if we decide humanity is too dangerous to exist? The chamber fell silent. Every alien representative was thinking about the wreckage of 800 ships floating in Earth's solar system. Yunji spoke into the silence. Then you will learn what our ancestors learned, that peaceful people can be more dangerous than warlike ones because peaceful people fight only when they have no choice. And when they have no choice, they fight to win. She activated the display one final time, showing a comprehensive map of human space. 347 colonies, each one a potential military stronghold. 2,000 ships, each, one capable of destroying entire fleets. And at the center, Earth itself, protected by defenses that had just proved they could stop the most powerful alliance in galactic history. We have contingency plans for war against every species in this chamber, Yunji said calmly, not because we want to fight you, but because our history taught us to prepare for every possibility. We know your military capabilities, your tactical doctrines, your strategic weaknesses. She looked directly at the Zephyrian admiral. We knew. You would eventually try to destroy us, Admiral Zixthara. We've been preparing for your attack for 30 years. Every detail was anticipated, every countermeasure planned. That's impossible, Zixthara protested. Our alliance was formed only 3 weeks ago. Your alliance was formed 3 weeks ago, Yunji agreed. Your individual species' fear of human capability has been growing for years. We simply calculated when that fear would overcome your reason and drive you to attack. The revelation was stunning. Humanity hadn't just prepared for war, they had predicted it and planned accordingly. What happens now? Asked Council Speaker Thyros. Now you make a choice, Minister Lim said. Accept that humanity is part of the galactic community and treat us as equals, or continue to see us as a threat that must be eliminated. But understand this. If you choose the second option, you will lose. Every time. Because we've been preparing for war longer than your species have existed. And if we choose the first option? Thyros asked. Ambassador Jiho smiled for the first time since the session began. Then we go back to growing crops and trading goods and helping settle disputes. We return to being the quiet, peaceful farmers you thought we were. But now we know what you really are, Zixthara said bitterly. Now you know what we've always been, Jiho corrected. Peaceful people who refuse to be victims. The question is, can you live with that truth? The session ended without a formal vote, but the message was clear. Humanity had revealed not just 6 months after the destruction of the combined fleet, the Galactic Council met to sign the most important treaty in galactic history. The new peace accord would reshape how species interacted throughout the galaxy, and humanity would be at its center. Ambassador Jiho Kim stood at the podium in the Great Chamber, looking out at representatives from over 200 species. The fear that had dominated previous meetings was gone, replaced by careful respect and genuine curiosity. The galaxy had learned to see humans differently. The Human Defense Compact is not about conquest, Jiho announced to the assembly. It is about protection. Any species that accepts human oversight of their military capabilities will receive our guarantee of protection against aggression. The terms were simple but revolutionary. Smaller species could request human protection against larger, more aggressive neighbors. In exchange, they would allow human monitors to ensure they weren't developing weapons of mass destruction or planning attacks on peaceful worlds. What about larger species like ourselves? Asked Ambassador Vextar of the Krillian hegemony. The blue-skinned warrior had been surprisingly cooperative since learning about human capabilities. Larger species are welcome to maintain their own defenses, Jiho replied. But they must understand that any attack on a world under human protection will be met with overwhelming force. Supreme Admiral Jiwon An stepped forward from the human delegation. She was a tall woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. Her uniform bore no decorations, but everyone in the chamber knew she commanded the most powerful military force in galactic history. The message is simple, Admiral An said. The galaxy can have peace, but it will be peace protected by those strong enough to maintain it. Humanity has proven we have that strength. Now we offer to use it in service of those who cannot protect themselves. The Harmony Federation was the first to sign the compact. Their representative, Ambassador Krell, spoke for many smaller species when he said, "We have spent centuries trying to avoid the attention of larger powers. Now we can focus on growth and development under human protection." Over the following weeks, 47 species joined the Human Defense Compact. They ranged from peaceful traders like the Merchants of Altair to scientific researchers like the Deep Space Observatory Collective. All had one thing in common. They were tired of living in fear of aggressive neighbors. The larger, more militaristic species watched this development with mixed feelings. Some, like the reformed Vorthak Empire, chose to accept human authority rather than risk another devastating defeat. Others withdrew into their own territories, hoping to avoid human attention entirely. Dr. Woojin Seo, Earth's new ambassador of peaceful relations, addressed these concerns in his first major speech to the Council. He was a young man with kind eyes and an easy smile, but his words carried the weight of human military might. "We do not seek to rule the galaxy," Dr. Seo said. "We seek to protect it. Every species has the right to live, grow, and explore the stars without fear of destruction. Those who respect that right have nothing to fear from humanity." He paused, letting his words settle before continuing. "Those who threaten innocent people will discover why humans spent 50 years preparing for war." The new order wasn't perfect, but it was stable. Captain Mina Park returned to her merchant runs carrying supplies between human colonies and alien worlds. The Soul's Pride looked exactly the same as it had before the revelations, but now every species she encountered knew what lay beneath its peaceful exterior. "How do they treat you now?" asked her engineer Taeyang Li as they prepared to dock. "At a Zephyrian trading station." "With respect," Mina replied, watching the stations approach through the bridge windows. "They're polite, efficient, and very careful not to give us any reason to be unhappy with them." It was true throughout human space. Alien traders who had once been dismissive of human merchants now went out of their way to be helpful. Diplomatic. Missions that had once ignored human requests now responded within hours. The galaxy had learned to value human friendship and fear human displeasure. On New Busan, life had returned to normal. Farmers tended their crops under the alien sun. Children played in schools that looked exactly like schools anywhere else. The only signs of the recent battle were the memorials to the Vorthak soldiers who had died attacking a peaceful colony. Admiral Young-Soo Nam had been promoted to command the Outer Colony's defense force. His new office overlooked the Green Valleys, where corn grew in perfect rows, but his responsibilities now extended to protecting dozens of human worlds. "Any threats on the sensors today?" he asked his aide, Colonel Isol Park. 3 Krillian ships requested permission to pass through our system," she reported. "They submitted full cargo manifests and accepted escort by our patrol vessels. No problems?" "Good," Admiral Nam said. "That's how it should be." The Krillians, like most species, had learned that cooperation with humans was much safer than confrontation. Their ships were still welcome in human space, but they followed human rules and accepted human oversight. At Council Station, Ambassador Jiho maintained his office in the human section, but his influence now extended throughout the massive structure. When disputes arose between species, they often asked for human mediation. When trade agreements needed enforcement, human ships provided security. When aggressive species threatened weaker neighbors, human diplomats delivered warnings that were always taken seriously. "It's strange," Jiho said to Council Speaker Thyros during one of their regular meetings. "We spent 50 years trying to convince everyone we were harmless. Now we spend our time convincing them we're not planning to conquer the galaxy." Thyros's ancient eyes held a mixture of amusement and respect. Perhaps that is the true measure of power, young ambassador. Not the ability to destroy, but the ability to choose not to destroy. The old reptilian was right. Humanity had revealed their capacity for devastating warfare, but their choice to use that power for protection rather than conquest had earned them something more valuable than fear: genuine respect. Captain Seojin Kong demonstrated this principle every day as he commanded the exploration vessel Bright Star. His ship visited worlds throughout the galaxy, conducting scientific research and first contact missions with newly discovered species. The ship's hidden weapons were never deployed, but their existence ensured that Captain Kang's diplomatic missions were always successful. Contact established with the Rimward Collective, he reported to Earth during his latest mission. They're a peaceful trading species interested in joining the galactic community. No military threats detected. Approved for full contact protocols, came the reply from Colonial Administration. Proceed with standard friendship overtures. It was a routine that had played out dozens of times since the new peace accord. Human ships explored the galaxy, making friends and protecting the weak. The threat of human military power remained in the background, but the reality of human protection dominated everyday interactions. Years passed, and the galaxy settled into its new reality. Young aliens grew up in a universe where aggressive species thought twice before attacking weaker neighbors. Trade flourished under human protection. Scientific research advanced as species shared knowledge without fear of having their discoveries stolen. The legend of the human revelation became part of galactic culture. When young cadets from aggressive species asked their instructors about warfare, they were told the same lesson that Council Speaker Thyros had learned. Never mistake. Kindness for weakness, diplomacy for defenselessness, or farmers for fools. On Earth, General Dong Yun-bei maintained the Sol defense network that had shattered the combined fleet. The weapons remained hidden but ready, a reminder that humanity's peaceful nature did not mean they were defenseless. Status report, he requested during his daily briefing. All systems nominal, General, his aide reported. No threats detected. The galaxy remains peaceful. Good, General Bei replied. That's exactly how we want it. Dr. Kyung-Hwan Shin, now Earth's chief xenobiologist, often reflected on how much had changed since that first Vorthak attack on New Busan. His research had helped humanity understand dozens of new species, building bridges of knowledge and friendship across the galaxy. We hoped the galaxy would accept us as we really are, he said during a recent interview. Peaceful people who refuse to be victims, strong enough to protect ourselves and others, wise enough to choose peace over conquest. The interviewer, a young Zephyrian journalist, asked the question that many still wondered about. Do you think humanity will always choose peace? Dr. Shin smiled, the same patient smile he had worn while addressing the galaxy from the wreckage of 800 destroyed warships. As long as peaceful people are left alone to live their lives in safety, yes. We have no desire to rule or conquer. We just want to tend our gardens, raise our families, and explore the wonders of the universe. He paused, his expression becoming more serious. But the galaxy has learned what happens to those who threaten innocent people. That lesson stands as our greatest gift to galactic civilization, the knowledge that evil will always face consequences, and good will always find protection. The story of humanity's revelation had become more than history. It had become a promise. The farmers who could destroy worlds would always said,